So we will just chat a little bit and change ideas and experience. So maybe we can start to introduce your program, your company, and maybe what is your idea of innovation? Who wants to start first? Okay, Charles.
I guess I'll start. Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Great event, and we've had great conversations so far. So thanks to the organizers for inviting us. My name is Charles. I lead the Innovation Hub at UEFA. The mission of the Innovation Hub is to act as an internal consultant, not only for UEFA, but also for European football stakeholders in diffusing a more innovative mindset within our industry and within our organization. And so the way we do that is we really focus on starting to define our challenges and what are our key strategic challenges that we face as an industry, and diffusing the frameworks and methods to be able to do that. And once we've defined the challenge and we have a good confidence that this is what we want to tackle as an organization or an industry, it's about really making the process in place to create a solution, often in partnership with actors of the innovation ecosystem, but leveraging also the assets of all of our stakeholder networks. So in a nutshell, that is it, and we'll get into details a little bit further in the
We will do so, yeah. Definitely.
So to take over from the National Association of the Netherlands, the KNVB perspective, we oversee grassroots football, but also our national teams, of course. And with our innovation hub, which is called number 11, it's our creative left winger, a bit the stubborn, creative, speedy player. It's kind of the spirit that we want to add to the KNVB. And how we do that is to build a network of companies, scout new companies, new startups, new solutions, and inspire our KNVB colleagues, but also stakeholders in Dutch football to adopt new things and to keep improving football every day.
Tom?
So at FIFA, we work across the safety, or testing and safety, accuracy and performance of systems, products and installations. And traditionally, we stick to more on-pitch matters. We have several quality programs that look at the different aspects of how technologies function across playing surfaces, futsal, natural turf, artificial turf. As well as this, we look at officiating and tracking technologies, VAR, offside line technology, EPTS, so tracking data systems, goal line technology, and finally installations and equipment, so looking at footballs, floodlights, any other equipment as well. So traditionally we're focused on this area, but 3 years ago we launched the FIFA Innovation Program for maybe technologies that didn't quite fit within this scope. So for example, technologies that didn't fit within the laws of the game. So there was certain blockages in certain areas there. So we think this is a really good vehicle for us to explore new innovative ideas. And as a large organization, we're often approached by many companies offering these new innovations in technology.
I can imagine. And I heard that there's an alignment, or will be an alignment between UEFA and FIFA on what innovation in football means. Yeah. Can you tell us more about that, Charles?
Exactly. We're quite excited about this. Actually, the slide has appeared a bit too early on the screen, so it spoiled a little bit.
But now it's the good time?
Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah,
so
for sure. Please leave it on there. I guess we started a few months ago having more regular exchanges between the FIFA Technology Division and the UEFA Innovation Hub, because we felt like there was a lot of common understanding between us, and we shared a lot in terms of the mindset we were trying to diffuse. And so I see Samir here. So Samir and I have started really focusing a little bit more on how can we make that alignment more tangible, not only to provide more transparency between our respective organizations, FIFA and UEFA, on how we handle innovation and technology, but also how can we diffuse that within football in general to make sure we use the same language and we use the same focus or priority areas when we talk about what innovation means. And so we started doing this exercise. We actually shared it yesterday with a group of close to 20 clubs, national associations, and leagues to get their feedback. So it may be iterated in the coming days and weeks. So we're just at the beginning of this journey. But we came up with 10 priority areas of what we feel are the main blocks of topics we want to tackle when we discuss innovation in football. So out of these 10, 6 relate to on-pitch technologies, and 4 relate to off-pitch technologies. And so, Tom, I don't know if you want to provide maybe a little bit more details as what to the on-pitch technologies mean?
Yep, definitely, yeah. So as I mentioned, we sort of more traditionally within the football technology innovation subdivision, we focus more on the on-pitch matters, so safety, performance, and accuracy of systems, products, and installations. And as Charles mentioned, when we presented this to the certain group yesterday, we had some really good feedback, so iterations are developing, and obviously it's great to put forward a proposal, so we've segmented it into different areas, segments, pillars, however you want to call them. And really, as part of these, I can give a couple of examples. So the first of such is equipment and infrastructure. So, for example, you may have seen in the last Women's and Men's World Cups, the connected ball in display, produced by Adidas in partnership also with FIFA and Kinexon. So this kind of technology fitting within this area. We have performance measurement, so things relating more to the data side of things. There's an increase in the market of lower limb wearable systems, so tracking systems that are physically worn on players in different parts of the body. So we're seeing more and more worn sort of in the lower limb areas, and this is really sort of an area that's developing as well. Officiating technologies, so these could be, for example, looking at lower cost solutions to existing technologies. We realize there are high barriers in terms of prices and cost. That means certain leagues and competitions can't invest in certain areas of technology. So really looking potentially at lower cost officiating technologies there. In addition, player welfare and medical. So this could be, for example, injury risk assessment tools, looking at trying to spot concussion at a higher or sort of an early opportunity. The mechanisms to do this, we've had tablets located pitch side in the last couple of years, allowing medical experts to be able to spot these injuries at an earlier time. Development. Development's a very general term, obviously, and we had some great feedback yesterday. Development, what does that relate to? Potentially grassroots, so looking at those lower cost, highly available solutions available to amateur players on a very wide scale. And finally, women's game, and we had discussions about whether we should have this pillar as part of all of these, or whether it should be its standalone pillar, its own segment there. We discussed that we think that women's game itself needs its own focus area. At FIFA itself, we have our own women's football division, and we think given the growth of the game, it really does deserve its own area to focus on this. It's developing at a much faster rate than the men's game. So really the idea is to segment these different pillars here and really answer questions in the industry. Why do we have these? They're not there for a reason. We're not there just to innovate for the sake of innovating. What problems are they trying to solve in the world of football? Is it a question about too high cost? Is it a question about low accessibility? So if there's a question there and a real world problem within football, brilliant, we'll set these challenges, and we have certain ones listed on our website for now, and we'll hopefully add more to those soon.
Exactly, and just following up on the off-pitch categories, this is an area in which UEFA and the Innovation Hub at UEFA has focused a bit more of its work, especially given the fact that FIFA is very much involved in the on-pitch aspect and is doing great work to find new innovations on these categories. For us, we focused a lot on environmental sustainability. So these are all activities, initiatives, technologies that allow us to diminish the carbon footprint of football in general. One of the comments that was raised yesterday by some of the national associations and clubs that were involved in our conversation was we should also add the social aspect to sustainability. And I think this is a very good comment and relevant comment, so we will do that. Then the operations category is anything related to the operational organization of a football event. So we're talking about managing crowd flows around stadium, managing the efficiency of our operations to stage the match, everything related to that. Then broadcast and marketing is a category very much associated with the delivery of the activation of broadcast and sponsorship or commercial partners around a football event. And in the end, fan engagement and new audiences. Obviously, fan engagement is how do we create new opportunities for fans to be engaged and involved in the game of football. But we really wanted to focus also on the new audience part, which is how do we bring new people to be interested and actively engaged in football as a fan. So this is how we segmented that. Maybe one last comment on this we wanted to add is the fact that we do not see any AI, Web3, data, machine learning. These are all technologies that can be leveraged in all of these 10 priority areas. So we really wanted to focus on priority areas that are football specific and that in which we can define more clear challenges But obviously, all of the big tech trends matter in all of the categories there. And we also have an others category because obviously we're all working in innovation, so we're all very open to new ideas. So we may maybe not have considered every possibility through these 10 focus areas, but I think if people reach out to us on the other category, we then expect, to see what is the link with a concrete strategic challenge for our organizations.
Can you say which segment brings the most work? No.
I think that may differ from our respective organizations, but I don't know.
Charles?
I mean, maybe to add from KNVB perspective also, because I think, it's a great overview of all the different categories that that are there, and it's the question of what organization wants to be leading in which segment. So for us as a national association, it's very logical to be involved in referee technology, in officiating, or maybe in grassroots technology. So that are two topics that, as the KNVB, we want to be leading in. And of course, we look very much at fan engagement innovations, at making our team perform as well as possible to, after 4 lost World Cup finals, finally get that trophy. But these are things that distinguishes us probably from big clubs or league organizations. So I think, and that's the nice thing about this new ecosystem that we're building together, is that everybody can play its own role. We all talk together. It also hopefully makes it easier for companies, not to do 10 different Teams calls with all organizations, but we talk to them together. So.
Okay, let's stay at the topic of collaborating. How is that you are collaborating, and how can participants from the market collaborate with you?
So maybe if I follow up, I think there's a next slide on this as well. Okay. Just an impression of our innovation hub. So it is interesting. We started a project to renovate our KNVB campus, our training ground, about 10 years ago. And what we did is we founded this innovation center, which now has 2 buildings, about 2,000 square meters. Within the heart of it, our VAR center and an e-room where we have the best FIFA players of the country training and playing their matches. But it's also a co-working space for startups, for companies, for universities. So now we have over 40 organizations connected in this innovation hub. Some are there today as well. And we try to grow this with relevant companies. So, and Charles was involved in this as well. Over the last years, we'll be talking about in the next session as well, we ran some innovation challenges under the name of Reimagine Football. So we had over 600 companies, applying to work with us. We selected the most promising companies together, and some joined the Innovation Hub or are working with Charles or with other organizations. So that's how we try to scout and pick the right companies to work with in our own fields.
We'll speak about the process, how to do this later.
Yes.
But let's stay with the topic of collaborating.
Yeah, so the Innovation Hub at UEFA was created in 2018, and we started focusing really on internal needs at the beginning, so focus on the needs and challenges that is the example I want to show, but I think we can go back to the previous slide. Yeah, that we can stay on that one for now. So really at the beginning, we did a lot of great work with startups, especially through a startup challenge that was organized in 2018, 2019 by my predecessor, Jean-Baptiste. I don't know if he's around, but I've seen him around all day. We just haven't had the chance to connect yet. But so they've ran a few startup challenges really to focus on internal needs. We're still very much focused on the internal need, but now we actually build our strategy for collaboration with actors of the innovation ecosystem around 3 different pillars. So first one is really about the internal stuff. The second one are some innovation programs that we're designing around some of our key events that also involve some of our commercial partners or the host city of the event or the host national association. So one of our first programs is called Champions Innovate. It was launched last September and is related to the Champions League final that will take place at Wembley Stadium in June, on June 1st. And so what we did is together with the Office of the Mayor of London, we brainstormed on what was a key policy they have that matches a strategic priority of UEFA that we wanted to accelerate through innovation in the context of the Champions League final. And the topic that we came up with was around enhancing the environmental sustainability of the event. And so we went to see our commercial partners and defined together with them 3 main challenges around subtopics within the sustainability. So we have one on green energy, one on diminishing the carbon impact of food consumed at the event, and one on actually actively engaging fans in their commitments toward having a more sustainable behavior. And so we've sourced 1 startup per challenge, and now we're facilitating the development of a pilot by the startups, but in partnership with the commercial sponsor, the Greater London Authority, and UEFA around these 3 challenges. And we will have an event 2 days or 2 nights before the Champions League final. So that's on May 30th, hosted at London City Hall to showcase the products of the pilots of these events. We're already in conversation with the city of Munich that will host the 2025 Champions League final to run this program again on a different topic. So please stay tuned for that. So that is the second pillar, is these innovation programs we're structuring. And then the third pillar is, I hinted it a little bit, but we created this community of innovators that are coming from national associations, clubs, leagues, stadium operators in Europe. And we have close to 25 organizations that are part of this community so far. And the segmentation here will be very relevant to understand or create kind of a mapping on, out of all these organizations, who's working on what of these priority areas. And where we identify that there's a big group of stakeholders involved in one area, we may be launching a joint challenge to find solutions to respond to this challenge and facilitate the experimentation of each of these.
Tom, what should be added from FIFA's point of view to that question?
Yeah, I think the key question is, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, what we're trying to solve there. We don't want to innovate for the sake of innovation. Well, just innovate because it's there. There has to be a tangible product or an outcome at the end of it. So what we're quite proud of within the FIFA Innovation Programme is a couple of examples, and I can talk about those later on, just in what we're able to produce. So we have currently online, we have 6 different challenges listed across different areas of technology, and we have these applicable where technology providers can apply to one of these challenges with the support of a company, a league, or a competition organizer. And that's really important for us to have that initial sort of validation step, because how do you sift through all these different ideas, which ones are going to make it? If there's already some validation there where they've checked with someone more local to them, then that really offers some extra weight when they're sort of communicating with us. And then across a 2-year period, we'll help support them. There are regular meetings in place. And then hopefully at the end of it was something to show from this. So this could be working closely with a research or test institute, a university, to validate the accuracy of their technology. It could be proving the device is safe for use. So in certain areas, how do you recreate certain match play incidents through this in a laboratory as well? So trying to be dynamic in its approach. And then at the end of the 2-year period, there is the chance for it to be part of one of our quality programs, one of the quality programs I mentioned earlier. So we're really proud of this, and hopefully with the opportunity, it can be approved in some cases by the IFAB under the laws of the game, really, in the wording.
So that has been a little insight in structuring the process already. But Giel, to come back to you, who do you decide to get on board? So finally, at the end, after the process.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing that we discovered, me as an innovation manager at KNVB, I'm positive about every new thing, So I like a lot of new startups, new ideas, but to get the buy-in, if it's something about fan engagement, from our marketing team is key, or from the performance side, the performance guys and girls, should be bought into it. So Reimagine Football helped us really to give them an expertise role in actually evaluating and picking the companies we want to work with. And I think that's key for any innovation, to be adopted, that it has to be embraced by the specialists that also probably in 5 years have to pay for keeping it to use. So that's one of the main learnings.
Charles, tell us about your process, about your way of structuring all the opportunities out there.
Yeah, it's very similar to what Giel mentioned. We see ourselves as an enabler, the Innovation Hub at UEFA. So we work in partnership with a doer. So these doers can be, our operational units internally, but also like a national association, a club, a league. commercial partners. And so we're never going to be the decision makers. So even though we can see value, if that perception is not shared by our doer that we work in partnership with, it's going to be difficult for us to move forward in the collaboration. And so what we do usually when we've defined a challenge, we actually make a little bit of what are the assets that we already have internally or with some of our stakeholders that are involved in the project. And then this is when we struggle often to find the technology bit, and this is when it's interesting to start discussing with these actors of the innovation ecosystem. So how we do it is on our website, I think we will have a QR code just at the end on the last slide, showcase the challenges that we have ongoing. And so there are moments where we do not have any challenges because we're in the process of coming up with some. And so the idea is for all of these tech providers is really to look at our website and feel if they feel like they can bring value in response to one of the challenges that is described there, there is a process to actually apply and tell us what is the value that they intend to create in this collaboration.
Okay. Then let's step into practical examples, I would say. I would like to learn something about practical examples, good one or bad ones, that you had in your organizations. Who wants to start? I don't know the structure of your PowerPoint.
I think the first slide is mine.
Okay, then Charles, we start with you as soon as it works.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
So I wanted to showcase an example of a startup that came out from the Reimagine Football challenges that we were a part of. So we launched a challenge around circular economy at a time when we had just launched the UEFA sustainability strategy. So that was in December 2021. It has very ambitious commitments to making really big steps in the right direction to diminish the carbon impact of our events. And so what we wanted to look for is actually a solution that would enable stadium operators to diminish the carbon footprint linked to food waste. The carbon footprint linked to food in stadiums is about 40% of all the carbon impact of a football match, so it's considerable. And so we found this startup from the Netherlands called the Waste Transformers. I've actually put a photo on the right of what the solution looks like when it's installed. This is at the Johan Cruyff Arena. So they were the first stadium in Europe to test and experiment the solution. And so what we did is we wanted to assess the potential of this solution across all the stadiums in Europe. And so we started working with them, especially conducting interviews with tens of stadium operators to understand, what is the amount of food waste they produce per match, what is the cost linked to managing this food waste, but also this solution allows to transform food waste on site into a biofertilizer. And now we're actually conducting tests to see if the fertilizer that gets out of it is actually matching the UEFA standards for pitch quality. And the second thing is energy. So we also looked into the costs of procuring chemical fertilizers as well as the energy costs for stadium and tried to really create a business case around this. We're really confident with the business case, but now we're just awaiting in the next few months the final scientific validation of the preliminary tests we've conducted on the fertilizer, which are very, very promising. So please stay tuned for the results on that, but we're really, really excited about this.
This will be a very interesting moment when you get the results, right?
We will, well, hopefully if they're positive, we will definitely provide a lot of transparency on those, but also if they're negative, I think this is what innovation is, like sometimes it fails and we have to understand the reason why it failed or it did not succeed. And so I think it's important for us to also shed transparency and shed light on the reasons for that.
Of course it is. So let's have a look at the next example we have here. Tom, it's you.
Yeah, that's it. And I think you made a good point there, Charles, in that you have to often go through a lot of different trials and tests and understand where the limitations are to really see what's out there in the industry. And we found that with lower limb wearable tracking systems. The example I mentioned earlier, and I think traditionally you see players running around on the pitch with an upper back sort of wearable system worn between their shoulder blades, worn within the sports vest itself. That's one way of capturing a player's sort of position, velocity, and other metrics on the pitch. But we were approached by a number of wearable providers saying we can wear it on different areas, the boot, the leg, different areas completely. And all offering similar insights, some more than others, some more insights in regards to medical, gait analysis, certain movements of players on the pitch. And we found that devices, often when it comes to position on the pitch, they struggle to sort of gauge this. The lower down the wearable system is on the body, the harder it is to gauge the position. But one company that we found did this very well, we tested across a 2-year period, was Playmaker. I don't know if Guy is in the audience at all, but I'm sure he'll appreciate this shout out. They approached us a couple of years ago with a product worn over the top of a boot, worn on both boots, really under a strap, worn on the outside of the boot. And I think there was, initially some questions. How would players operate? A player can't wear this, etc. Why would a player wear this? What sort of benefit is it to them and to their clubs for them wearing this? But over the course of 2 years, and I'll sort of be really stringent on saying how much they used data to support this. Over the course of 2 years, they really proved that the data collected supported their case in how accurate the system was and the additional benefits it provided. They did a few really good things, really. They operated with a third-party validator. It's always good to get your results, your research validated by a third-party institute. And with data collected across a 2-year period, actually more with the COVID season, in the Women's Super League in England, they were able to show how much the data added value to those teams. So it was a good sign. And after that period, last year, actually, under the laws of the game, they were approved. And they are the first lower limb wearable certified EPTS system as of last year with the FIFA quality standard. So we think that was a really good case there. And an example, if you can use the FIFA Innovation Programme in the right way, you really can have the benefit of something at the end of this. And I just have one more example here as well. I guess you could say more political, the basic video assistant referee systems. And as I mentioned earlier, why would you have this? Often these sorts of systems are associated with a higher cost. So the real impetus was for maybe those competitions with a lower budget to really see if there was a VAR system out there with potentially fewer cameras that could operate on the same level of scale and really offer support to officials in their decision-making. We really had great support there. We had the support of the KNVB, and I'm sure Giel can talk about that soon, but we had a great test, I think, a couple of years ago, just before COVID, in 2020. And actually, as of last year, under the laws of the game, we were able to approve VAR Lite, where systems using 4 cameras can now be used after great trials in Poland, Brazil, and many different countries there. So these are just a couple of success stories. There are many different not so success stories, many challenging areas where we're working and progressing, but a couple of good examples where we feel they've gone through the FIFA Innovation Programme and come out with something at the end of it, really.
So let's see if Giel maybe brought an example that did not work. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Not yet. Not yet. We have many stories that don't work as well, but we'll do another session maybe next time on this.
Or tonight.
So exactly. So 2 examples to mention. The first one is like Tom just explained, lower limb wearables. We feel something very interesting for our grassroots players, but we'll talk about football also in the next session. But another example that really fits with our strategy is Ref6, which is a startup from England that we discovered in one of the Reimagine Football Challenges a couple of years ago. They provide a smartwatch app for referees. So actually to replace, the notepad to keep track of score, yellow cards, substitutions, etc. So they integrated this into an app, but actually at the moment we got to know them, but also the company, I think, were not really ready to implement it on a big scale. Mm-hmm. Now we launched a new referee strategy last summer because we have a lack of volunteer referees, as in many countries. That's something very challenging. And the nice thing of this app is that it doesn't only have like the administration function, but it also uses the heart rate and GPS signals to actually get performance data for the referees. So we feel it makes being a referee or a young referee more serious, more performance-oriented, also maybe a bit more sexy than the image that it sometimes has. So there it really comes together with how we think we can increase the number of referees, but also increase the quality. And what we've seen is that actually already quite some referees were using the app. So we said, let's do a test first with talented referees that are in our 3rd and 4th division. Mm-hmm. They really liked it, and now we're testing it with club referees, so voluntary referees that lead the teams of their sometimes daughters or our sons on Sunday morning or on Saturday morning, and it gives us a real close point of contact also, because we now don't know who those people are, and we can get in touch with them. And the last thing that we hope it will provide in the future is that if the referee actually registers a goal, that it will push an automatic message in our match app, so grandparents or fans, can get automatic updates on the match. So that's something we are working on with hopefully a bright future.
One very last and very short question before we close that session, and then the both of us step further into details. If there's someone who has an idea, how can they get in contact with you? How can they talk to you about their ideas?
So on the side of the UEFA Innovation Hub, I think on the next slide, we've put a QR code here, so feel free to flash it. This is a link to our website. Currently, our website, UEFA.com, is undergoing some shifts. We're going to launch it in the next few weeks in the lead up to the Euro, so it may be unavailable for a little while, but we always shed light on what are the challenges we're actually looking for solutions in response to. So feel free to go on our website. If there are no challenges at the moment where you visit the page, it's constantly refreshed, so don't hesitate to actually look into it. People reach out to me and the rest of my team several times. I receive an average 10 meeting requests per day on LinkedIn. This is not the best approach, to be honest, because we shed light on everything we're actually looking for. And if you do want to reach out on LinkedIn, please make sure to personalize your message and say, hey, I listened that UEFA is actually looking into these types of solutions. Here is mine. It eases the conversation than just receiving a deck with absolutely no context. I'm sorry, we don't have the time to look at this. Elliot is thanking me for that comment here. Feel free to go see him. Raise your hand, Elliot, if you want to find out more about what we're actually looking for at the moment.
Okay, thank you so much, Tom and Charles, for the moment. Giel, you will stay with me?
Yes.
Because we directly go into the next masterclass. Charles and Tom, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.